True.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on in Angel Fire. We have a very cool shot here. Lots of clear skies 3 hours ago, but as we put this into motion, you'll see the clouds start to bubble up along the horizon, and they start to find their way through the Moreno Valley. A very cool shot here. Meanwhile, down in Cloudcroft, we're looking at a similar setup. Clouds starting to develop down here as well, although we're looking at more high cloud cover than mid and upper level cloud cover like we're seeing across the northern mountains and down in the Sacramento Mountains. In between, we're looking at a few clouds in Albuquerque as well, but unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing much in the way of showers and storms this afternoon, maybe a couple of spot storms over the northern mountains, but most of us will stay dry. 83 degrees currently. Relative humidity rather dry, only 16%, so that's a lot of the reason why we're not going to see much shower and storm activity for today. Winds really starting to crank up out of the west at 20 miles per hour. Temperatures across the north into the 70s and 80s right now, down to the south into the 90s for several locations, and Carlsbad here at the noon hour already up to 100 degrees. We are going to continue to warm things up through the afternoon. Carlsbad well into the hundreds this afternoon, and over the weekend we're going to continue to warm things up as well. In fact, some of the hottest weather we've seen so far this summer. Relative humidities across the state on the very dry side. We're only at 7% in Socorro, 7 also for TRC, 27 out in Clovis, 19 in Tucumcari. You remember earlier this week we were looking at quite a bit of moisture across the east, and now that has really been pushed out of the state. So we are going to go dry over much of New Mexico, not only today but also through the weekend as well. Winds really cranking up as we have a disturbance passing to our north. 36-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Las Vegas, 24 in Taos, 24 also in Grants, 28 in Socorro and Ruidoso. Albuquerque up to a 31-mile-per-hour wind gust, and we'll continue to deal with the winds through the afternoon and evening as that disturbance works its way to our north. We do have red flag warnings in effect for areas just east of the Central Mountain Chain, into the metro, into west central sections, and down to the south as well. With the wind, the dry conditions, and all the heat, it is a perfect recipe for fire concerns this afternoon. But the good news is the winds do start to come down over the weekend as this disturbance eventually kicks out. Drier air continues to work in, though, through the weekend. So even though we'll get rid of the wind, it's still going to be dry and it's still going to be hot throughout much of the weekend. So fire danger is still going to be rather elevated through the upcoming weekend. That disturbance continues to kick out through the afternoon. We are dry. Fire danger continues to be high this afternoon. Then into the weekend, we will be watching for that ridge of high pressure to slide over the state. That'll help bring the winds down, but will still remain dry and hot. Lots of sunshine on the way, so it will be a very nice weekend if you can get through the heat, and we continue to heat things up into the beginning of next week. In fact, by Monday, even Albuquerque is going to be making a run for 100 degrees. But beyond the weekend and beyond early next week, things do start to change. As this ridge of high pressure starts to move to the east, we'll get onto a return flow on the back end of that high pressure, and that is the beginnings of our monsoon setup, and it looks like a little bit more moisture on the way toward the end of next week. So something to look forward to, but it is going to be a hot weekend. Southern Colorado into the upper 70s to low 80s this afternoon. We warm to 90 degrees in Durango by Sunday, low 90s for Monday and Tuesday before some of that moisture returns toward the middle of next week. Over the northwest, lots of sunshine, highs into the upper 80s this afternoon. Mid 90s in Farmington by Sunday and Monday, upper 90s by Tuesday. Then a few more clouds as a little bit more moisture works in toward the end of next week. Over the southwest, lots of sunshine, highs into the mid to upper 90s this afternoon. Even Silver City will reach the mid 90s by the start of next week. Then showers and storms return with cooling temperatures by Wednesday and Thursday. Over the southeast, extreme heat for this afternoon, low hundreds for Roswell and Carlsbad. We continue with the low hundreds into the beginning of next week. Then a chance at a couple of storms Wednesday and Thursday. Over the northeast, winds will be gusting up to 40 miles per hour. It will be hot this afternoon, and we continue to crank up the heat through the weekend. Low 90s in Las Vegas before the moisture returns toward the end of next week. Over the northern mountains, winds gusting up to 40 miles per hour. Highs in Santa Fe to the low 90s by the beginning of next week before the return of moisture Wednesday and Thursday. Over the east mountains, mostly sunny, highs into the upper 80s. In the metro, we'll top out in the mid 90s this afternoon. Winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour, and the heat continues to crank up near 100 early next week. But the heat backs off by the middle of next week, and we may even have a chance at a couple of storms.
All right. Thanks, John.